Okay, so with the release of 18.4, we've got deadlifts, which are pretty heavy, and we've got handstand push-ups and handstand walks. The main area of concern for this, or two main areas of concern, will be the low back. We're looking at flexion when we're deadlifting from the floor, and then unfortunately extension when we're walking on our hands. So a lot of stress is going to come through that low back. So the looser, the more mobile and warm that we can get the spine and the shoulders to get in a better overhead position. And then essentially, more importantly probably for this one, the more active and solid we can become through that midline, through the core, so more stable, and the less stress is going to come through that low back. Okay, so we want to work on stabilizing and properly warming up the glutes in order to get the deadlift motor pattern correct, so lifting through the glutes and hams, not just the low back. And we want to work on improving that overhead position for the handstand walk. Okay, so we're trying to avoid that lordotic curve there when we're upside down, because it's going to get really uncomfortable when we start deadlifting from the floor there. So one of the best drills that I've come across that I use very frequently, we're looking at the Jefferson curl. So we're going to start mobilizing through the entire posterior chain, warming it up, adding a very small amount of load. And for those that can very easily touch the floor with little to no warm up, you're going to need to increase the height that you're moving from. So just add a couple of plates or a couple of mats up to a sort of shin height. I've got a 4 kilo kettlebell, so you don't necessarily need to add too much load, if any, for some of you. If you've never done a Jefferson curl, keep this very light. You stand at the edge of the mat, feet underneath the hips. The movement starts with the chin rolling to the chest. The arms are going to become nice and soft. And we're going to roll down through the spine, pulling the belly button back towards our spine. Let the weight of the kettlebell hang you forward. You want to get to a point where you can continue to hang, so you're not going to hit the floor. And let the weight of the kettlebell just hold you there for 10 seconds. Feel everything loosen off behind, and then we engage through our lower abs and pull our belly button towards our spine, and we're going to unroll, with the chin being the final thing to come up. So we do a couple of reps of those, maybe 4 or 5. Try and spend a little bit of time when increasing length of time at the bottom. So we've started to loosen off through posterior chain. We want to now start to stabilize, so activate through the glutes, okay? So again, you can use a similar weight kettlebell or a slightly heavier one. We're going to just look at a single leg deadlift. So importantly here, we're looking at hip hinging, so we're keeping a neutral spine. So you hinge forwards and stand up. So working on that balance as well at the same time. Let's not put that other leg down. So if you keep the kettlebell fairly light, we're looking at 10 plus reps each leg. So we've looked at stabilizing and activating the hips. We've looked at mobilizing and activating the smaller muscles around the spine, the supporting muscles. Now we're going to look at opening up through the shoulders. So we want to get a nice overhead position to handstand walk. We've got a closed shoulder here. Where do we compensate? We end up compensating through the low back in order to get vertical. Okay, so really important with that load from the deadlift that we don't hyperextend through the low back. Work on the shoulders more than you might think. Okay, so we're going to start with releasing the lats. You're going to take your hand across to the far corner. You're going to drop the back of the shoulder to the floor and add the weight of your head. You're going to sit forwards into that stretch and rock back. So we rock forwards and rock back. So we're opening out all that soft tissue down through the back of the arm. Do the same thing on the other side and just repeat both of those for about a minute on each side. We're then going to look at improving the range through our upper back. So we're going to creep the hands forwards. We're going to keep the bum and the hips high, and we're going to drop the chest and armpits to the floor, keeping the chin up. So the points of contact we ideally want here are armpits, chin and chest. So we drop down like so. You should feel some pressure build in your upper back. We don't want too much extension coming in through the low back for that one. Okay, a nice drill also to help open up the shoulders. You're going to sit with the legs straight out in front. You're going to start walking the hands back behind you as far as you can and just sitting into that stretch. So we're going to get a nice strong stretch through the front of the shoulders there. Hold that position. Good. And then finally we're going to look at the wrists, because we're going to be spending a lot of time in this position. So we're going to just put the fingertips facing forwards, and you're going to rock over the hands. So like so. You're going to rock shoulders over the wrists and back. So do a set of 10 in this position, turn the fingers backwards, a set of 10 in this position, and then we're going to counteract that and turn the hands upside down. Now, first of all, make sure that we've got a straight elbow, so we might need to start with the shoulders slightly in front of the wrists, and then we start to pull back. Okay, so they start forwards in front of the wrist, and then we start to pull back. Then we could do some active work where we go from full flexion into full extension. Again, just do sets of 10 of all of these to get as much movement out of these wrists as we can. They're going to become pretty uncomfortable with a lot of upside down time. So to recap, we've covered stabilizing and mobilizing through the back and then the hips, some deadlifts and some glute work. Then most importantly with the mobility side of things, the shoulders. We're working on releasing through the lats and the upper spine in order to get that optimum overhead position when we're upside down. And then we finished off with some work through the wrists to help get us our wrists nice and loose and supple before we get upside down as well. Good luck with this one, guys. Warm up properly.